Hey guys, Trav from Australian Car Audio again. Today we're going to go through our Roadkill products. Probably my favourite lineup of products we have here at Australian Car Audio. We've got everything from basic sound deadener, fast rings for sealing your speakers to door trims, installation kits, bonnet liners, carpet pad mats, underlay, all of those products to make your car as quiet as possible. But today we're actually going to run through and install the sound deadening on a door. So let's get to it. Alright guys, first thing you need to do when sound deadening a part or location on the vehicle is to decide what process you're going to do and what products you're going to use. In this installation we're going to be doing a door to replicate what you would in a sound quality car to both eliminate noise and improve the performance of the speaker. In this situation we're going to be using our Roadkill Ultimate Door Kit. There is 6 pieces of the butyl backed foil covered product. That comes in a single box at 12 square feet. We're going to also be using our closed cell foam, our Overkill packed here, that also comes in 12 square feet. On top of that, then we'll put it all back together and then we're going to be using our fast rings. These guys here, they come in a few different sizes in the one packet. So these are going to go on to the speaker and not only improve the mid bass of the speaker, but also reduce your noise and rattles by sealing that speaker to the back of the door trim. Now some of the tools you're going to need for this is pretty simple: screwdriver to pull apart the door, some white spirit. In this situation I'm using wax and grease remover, methylated spirits or turpentine or thinners, something like that, just to clean any residue off the door will be needed. We're also going to be using our Roadkill install kit, which includes the roller and the knife, and to coincide with that we'll probably need a couple of textures to transfer across some measurements or shapes. Alright, so what we've got here is a fairly standard front door. This particular one's off a VE Commodore, but now what we've got is what you would typically come across in a car. So we've got the speaker and we've got the plastic sheet here that serves as a somewhat noise barrier, also a fume type barrier. So we're going to be removing the speaker and this plastic sheet, but please keep this plastic sheet for later as we're going to use it as a template to transfer across to some of the other products. Alright, we've now got a bare door skin. Something I want to point out at this point in time is you can hear that it's quite rattly, very noisy, almost drummy. We're going to remove that and make it a nice solid thud to make your car feel more luxurious. Alright, we're now going to kick off cleaning the door. In this situation we're going to apply some wax and grease remover to this microfiber cloth, wipe it all down so we've got a nice clean surface for the adhesives to bond to. It's important you do this thoroughly. You don't want that sound deadener falling off after you've put all your hard work into it. This rolling application is super critical. You really need to make sure that the product is properly rolled out and there is no air bubbles for 2 reasons. One, to get the absolute most out of the product and to make sure that it's bonded completely with the substrate or the door skin or the whatever part of the vehicle you're using, and then that makes sure that the product works at its absolute most effectiveness. And number 2, you don't want any air bubbles under there where condensation can form. Once you get some condensation in there, condensation forms water. The water sitting in a spot like that will eventually rust through the car, whether it's on the floor with your door or your roof, and the last thing you want is your metal panels rusting. What's really great with the Roadkill door kit, the sheets are cut to this really handy size that makes getting them in and out of the panel really nice and simple. When it's much larger, you do find it's quite difficult to get in and out of some doors. We're lucky on this particular door that there's a lot of quite large openings, but a lot of other doors you're limited to very small access holes. So the smaller the hole, the smaller your piece is, therefore the more work you've got ahead of you. Don't be afraid to get in there with your hands and really press down and make sure that you've got complete contact between the sound deadener and the door trim itself. But just remember, that backing layer is an aluminium foil and it can be sharp, so you may cut your fingers. Some people might like to wear gloves for this situation. I'll leave that in your hands. Alright, what we've done now, we've completed the first layer of Roadkill application. We've used the Expert Roadkill and we've completely covered the whole outer skin of the door. What that has done is increased the mass or the weight of that metal panel, and in turn that's made the resonant frequency of that skin lower. Therefore it's harder for sound to come into the vehicle, and it also takes its resonant frequency well below that of what the speaker will reproduce, therefore giving you a more solid mid-bass sound out of your speakers. Now a lot of shops or a lot of people will think this is enough for them, and yep, that's a great step and you can leave it there. Because we're doing a demo, we're going to take it to the extreme, and we're going to also put a layer of our acoustic foam in there. I'm not going to go crazy on it, I'm just going to cover the bulk of the area, and what we're going to use is Roadkill Ultimate. This product is a closed cell foam. Closed cell foam is great in this situation because it is waterproof. It's not going to hold moisture and cause rust or mold or anything like that. So what I'll do now is I'll trim this down and we'll put a couple of pieces in there to really knock this down. Alright, so from our sheet of Overkill, I've trimmed down these couple of little pieces. One's going to go up the top here, above the intrusion bar, the other one's going to go below it. I like to cut my layer of foam slightly smaller than the deadener itself. That way we're not creating any pockets of air between the deadener and the foam and the metal door. Each thing is its own layer. It's a closed cell foam. I've cut this with scissors, with a fresh knife, whatever you've got on hand. Now, being a foam product, it's quite easy to work with. Really nice actually to work with your hands as opposed to the roller in these tight cavities. But that's not stopping you using the roller or anything. So it's a really, really sticky adhesive. Try not to put it anywhere where you don't actually want it because it's quite difficult to get off. Now, I don't know if you can see on camera, but I've left this area here behind the speaker free. If you're not going to install fast rings or an acoustic isolation ring, by all means run that foam up behind the speaker. That'll help with backwave absorption. But in this situation, we're going to be using the Stinger fast rings. So I'm going to sit our speaker in here and find out roughly where it sits. Cool, it's in the back half of this hole. So I'm going to take the backwave pad. This guy here, you can see it's a nice soft spongy foam. It's quite thick in diameter. What that is going to do is take or isolate the back wave of the speaker. So when a speaker's moving forward and making sound, it also does the same on the back. This here is going to stop standing waves. What that means is instead of the sound going back and forward, it's going to hit this and be dispersed in the door. This is really going to improve the quality of sound coming from your speakers. As you can see, that one's really simple. So now we've done the outer skin, we're going to move on to the inner skin. Now there's a couple of different ways you can tackle it. You can lay the sound deadener down, roll it all out, trim it back. You just got to be careful if you're going to do that you're not cutting it past where the door trim will sit, or you're not going to run the knife and mark any of the vehicle's paintwork. What I like to do in this scenario is lay out some of my sound deadener that I'll be using. Again, going back to the Roadkill Ultimate, placing it in pretty close to where it's going to be. And we're going to take our texter and the plastic that we removed earlier, and we're going to transfer it across. We've marked out our deadener. As you can see now, all the clips and screws for the door trim are exposed. We're going to go and transfer that and start rolling it onto the panel. One thing you might want to know, the central locking rods or the door handle these guys here. This particular door, it's quite nice, so this outer case doesn't move. So I'll put a little slice in here and feed it through. In some cars, the deadener may stick to these and prove difficult for the cables to operate, or the rods. In that situation, you might want to tape them up or put some foam tape or some split conduit across those before you put the deadener down. But I'll put a little slice and bring them out through the front. For myself, I also like to take this step to go through and tighten up any screws or nuts and bolts that are on the door trim, anything for the window regulator or any part of the door, because that will prove difficult once we've covered it in sound deadening, but tightening them up now also helps with any sort of rattles or vibrations. Now watch as we apply the first layer to the inner skin. Now we've put these pieces out, we've rolled them out, we've spent quite a bit of time. You can see we've got it in all the nooks and crevices. If you push hard enough, you're able to see where the holes are, so you can pierce them through for things like, in this case, mounting the speaker or putting the wiring loom back in. A lot of different people have opinions on doing this second layer like this, but I like to do it this way, seal all your access holes and just leave your speaker. Effectively, you're creating a sub box for the speaker or an enclosure for the speaker, so all that backwave energy is stored in the door. It's almost a second whole skin, just like the outer skin, so it's making it harder for that sound to come into the vehicle, but also harder for any other heat, mechanical transfer, all that sort of stuff to penetrate into the cabin space, so making it more luxurious. People are a bit worried about serviceability. Now, you saw how easy this product was to put on. You can see here I've cut it out so we can mount our speaker back. If you ever need to get in to adjust a window regulator, replace things, you can cut out these open areas with your knife, do what you need to do, fix whatever needs to be fixed on the car, and then get another piece and go back over the top. So whilst it may look like it's completely unusable, it is completely serviceable. I've done 20 plus years of it doing it this way, and you always get a great result for the speaker and for the vehicle. Now we've done the Roadkill layer, we're going to move ahead to doing our Overkill layer. I'm going to pop it back up here, and I'm going to use a different colour texture this time, and we're going to transfer that across to our open cell foam. Now this particular layer is what really gives you that luxurious European feel to your vehicle, but just check with your door trim. It's a good idea maybe to sit it back on and check that you have the space. Some vehicles you might not be able to add any more thickness to this, so this is where you need to stop. I know we've done plenty of these cars that we've got extra material or extra space that we can work with, so we're going to go ahead and make this the ultimate. So we're back again with our plastic template that we've saved. So as I said earlier, it's critical that you keep this. We're going to transfer this across now onto the Overkill and then cut it out. Alright, so we've trimmed down our piece of Overkill. As you can see, it's a nice snug fit. I have mapped out roughly where the speaker will go. We'll cut that out once it's applied. I've got my reliefs cut for where my cabling is going to go. I've cut a bit of a elliptical slit in here for the cables to run through. Now we'll go ahead and stick this on. So we've spent a bit of time, we've used our hands, we've used our roller, we've really got this Overkill stuck down over the top of our Roadkill. We've got our central locking and interior door handles pulled through. You can see they're free to move. They move up and down, they're not binding or being stuck down with any of the sound deadener. All our clips are free for our door trim to be mounted against. We've got our release, we can actually click our wiring loom back in here now. And that guy pressing up against the foam, it's not going to rattle. Same with these things. You can actually hear how much quieter they are. So now we've got 2 layers on there, 2 layers on the outer. You can hear the difference we've made. We'll go in now and mount our speaker on, and then we'll put our fast ring over the top of that speaker, and then we'll sit our door trim on. Now we're going to apply the last of the fast rings to the speaker. The cutaway door trim will give you a bit of an idea as to how this would work in a traditional or complete installation. That there will compress right up and sit underneath the door trim and allow the speaker to concentrate all its energy on coming into your cabin. So now we've got a completely sound deadened inner and outer skin on the door. I've got the door trim cut away here so we can expose the different layers and showcase this to people and explain how and what and where and why you would use something. Now I'll flip this over and we'll give the other side a tap and see what a difference we've made. All right, now to summarise. We've gone over this door, we've given it the absolute ultimate in the Roadkill luxury sound deadening range. You can now hear what a difference we've made to this. Yes, we've added a little bit of weight, but we've reduced a hell of a lot of noise. Now, in this store, we've used the Stinger Expert Roadkill door pack, 12 square feet, foil-backed butyl rubber self-adhesive sound deadener. So that was stage one. We've done that on both the inner and the outer door skin. We've used the Overkill damping mat, closed cell foam, self-adhesive, approximately 6mm thick and 12 square feet in this kit as well. Now this kit here would, if you've done it like we've done now, would approximately do 1 to 2 doors, but you can use this in other areas such as your headliner, behind firewalls. You could even put it on the back of the door trim instead of on the inner door skin if you're a little bit hard up for room. And then on our speakers, we've used the fast rings. All right, in summary, we've now treated this door to the ultimate in the Stinger Roadkill range. If you've got any questions, hit up our social media, hit up our office. We're here to support you. And again, happy motoring.